Okay, this is a test to see if, like, okay, wait, I need to start from the beginning. Hello, this is Kier, and I am recording a podcast from my car as I drive, and don't look at my phone, but it's like voice memo. And day to day, as I concern myself less and less with showing up in any sort of way that can be categorized as the right way. You know, like my brain is like, it's just annoying. It like, this inner critic makes it so much harder for me to just record a podcast episode, for fuck's sake. It's like, well, what if there's gaps and you lose track and you don't know what you're saying? When I listen to a podcast and I like the person and like they're not like a reporter or something, like Christina Sutra, she's a really good example. I'm not expecting perfection. I don't want perfection. I don't mind an or a pause or a tangent. Like, you, right? Like, are we not all in some way just like craving basic, deep, normal, honest connection? And so I'm, as a way to lean in to putting more energy into this podcast, because I want to, not because anyone's saying I should, but because I genuinely am like, no, like, this is nurturing. Like, I like talking to myself. I actually don't really like talking to other people. I like talking to myself. I like processing things, and I find that that's kind of how my following, I don't even like the word following was kind of built on. A lot of you like how I kind of break down concepts or something, or, you know, I get a lot of messages that you find me to be relatable or just kind of authentically messy. And, you know, authentic is like a buzzword, like show up authentic or else. But regardless, I'm just doing what I'm doing, you know? And so what the fuck was I saying? Oh, okay. I legit have ADHD, like diagnosed and everything. So that's a part of my, how I present myself in non-linear fashion. But regardless, I was saying that in order for me to lean more into the podcast, I am vowing to not edit it, not even think about editing it, like not even think about it, not even, just not, just because, unless of course, like, oh, I have to pee so bad and then I go pee, like I'm not gonna leave like a 5-minute gap or something, but otherwise, like, I'm not gonna listen back to these things. I'm not gonna nitpick myself. I'm not gonna worry about background noise. I'm not gonna worry about all of the stupid things that I don't think really matter for me. Okay. But I think I had a point. I do have a point. I am talking today about my journey with body image, my relationship with my body, my relationship with physicality. I mean, I feel like my relationship with my body has been the brunt of my resistance to all of physicality, to being incarnated. There is this, I think there's this trauma for me for a long time. Right now, I'm not going to get so into like all of the layers of it, in the sense of like, when I was this age, someone said this, and then I stopped eating this, and then my mom, she's like this, and I wanted to look like that. You know, that's really not exactly where I need to go with this right now. So about 7 years ago in therapy, I was talking about my relationship with my body and feeling like I needed to be a certain way and look a certain way. And if I didn't, I just was gross or undesirable. And it didn't help that I was in a relationship where comments would be made on my body all the time, but I was, so there's that. But again, like, that wasn't the start of the issues. It was just kind of, I certainly kind of aligned with that relationship because it was very reflective of my internal criticism, you know, of myself. So it was just the physical reality mirroring what's been going on inside of me for a long time. That if I didn't look a certain way, then I just wasn't lovable. And my therapist, we dug into that, and I would spiral, and it would get down to, I'm not lovable if I am above a certain weight, or if this doesn't fit, or if I feel fat, or whatever. And I would hear that, and I would know that it was true, but there was, at the time, there was no way in hell I cared enough to change, because I was that afraid. I felt that unsafe, that if I released control around my diet and my exercise, and it was, you know, calorie counting, remaining a certain size, looking a certain way every summer, if I didn't keep control of that, I wouldn't be loved. You know, I was surrounded by, I'm not even going to give them the honor of calling them men. Okay? I was surrounded by boys, little children, who would constantly comment on women's bodies. Constantly. Whether they gained weight or lost weight or looked good or didn't look good, or whether they would get with them or not, or blah, blah, blah. Like, gross, immature, patriarchal, misogynistic junk. And I was dating one too. Whoop-de-doo. So that didn't help, but, you know, anyway, present day, it's been about 9 months since I threw out my scale. Like, took the scale finally and was like, fuck you. How the fuck has this thing, like, how have I allowed this goddamn little dumbass machine sitting on my bathroom floor dictate a good day or bad day, or good mood or bad mood, or I'm worthy or not worthy, or I'm beautiful or not? Like, what the? Seriously, what the fuck, you know? And just reflecting hard the past couple years on who's determining, like, this, you know, like, the choice between, oh, I didn't go to spin class today, but my boyfriend wants to get tacos, and, like, I can't, okay, so if I go to the taco place, I can't get guacamole on the taco, and, like, what? And yeah, like, I'm in traditional therapy, but I know that I am not alone in this thinking. Almost 9 out of, like, 10 friends, female friends, you know, or whatever, 99%, it's conversation all the time. I feel fat. This doesn't fit. I can't eat that. I ate too much. I need to work out. So much fear of losing control of what we have been told is appropriate for our bodies. It's like I've just been really trying to peel it back for myself. I deleted my FitnessPal, and what brought me to deleting it and just being like committed to this wasn't just, it's so beyond the surface, because I was like really looking at my life and what I wanted to change and what I wanted to feel in my life and experience. And I desire, my soul desires freedom. And when I was looking at the actions of my life, looking at the way that my brain, that my mind, my energy was being used in my life, the polar opposite of freedom is measuring out tablespoons of half and half so I can make sure that my calorie count is in a deficit, so that my pants fit, so that I'm loved. What? Right? Like, that's the absolute opposite of freedom. That's the opposite of expansion. And if I'm putting that energy into restricting my physical body, that energy is playing out in every other area of my life. These patterns aren't just in relationships or in relationship to this or that. These patterns play out through every area of our lives, whether we realize it or not. And I realized it, and I'm aware of it, but it's like I was so resistant to it for so long. I did not feel safe. And one thing that's been really helpful is stabilizing my nervous system enough to be in a new relationship now that is safe. Because there's also that layer of fear of abandonment. If I'm not good, I'll be abandoned. If I'm not this way, I'll be abandoned. I'll be left. And then I'm not lovable. So being in a relationship obviously helps. Someone who, an adult, a goddamn mature, aware adult that doesn't look at a woman's body and dictate what size it needs to be, But this isn't just about body image. This is about accepting physicality. This is about realizing, how am I treating my body, and how does that affect my entire life? If I'm desiring expansion and abundance and freedom and joy, but I'm approaching each day with control, I gotta go to the gym at this time, and I gotta make it to this class, and I can't eat that because then then what is that energy pattern? And can I admit that perhaps that patterning and that approach is affecting my whole life? Money, work, love, and so on. So, if you're in a similar situation, this isn't something you can rush. And I know that. This isn't something that we can necessarily push through. And this is just my example. how do you approach your physical body? Because the way that you approach your physical body is a magnified reflection of the lens that you're seeing all the physical life through. And it can very often be the last thing we look at because it's the hardest. Especially as women, and I'm gonna say that, especially as women. And that's my opinion. I'm not going down that road right now. But it can be challenging to, if I can't accept my physical being, my physical body, when I move intuitively without the pressure, when I eat intuitively without the fear of losing control, how am I approaching my life? How woven in is fear and the need to control and manipulate woven into other areas of my life? Where am I attaching my worthiness to physicality? To the illusion of looks, right? So it's just something to look at if you feel drawn. Embodiment. It's everything. Ascension. What are we ascending from? We're not ascending from physicality. We're not ascending from the physical body. Imagine the physical body through a higher frequency lens. Gosh, I wish I had it in front of me, but a while ago, the Palladians, in a trans channeling session, I'm parked now, by the way, so no one's honking at me, but through a trans channeling session, said, if you could only see how beautiful your body is through this fifth density lens, you wouldn't think twice about manipulating or controlling or criticizing yourselves. The insane magic beauty of your body. And that was this was before the pandemic, so this was maybe like 2.5-ish years ago, and I remember that was like a huge turning point. That was like clicked something in my brain where I was like, oh, because it was during a trans channeling session, and I listened back to it because I don't always remember the trans channeling. It was like for a group in person, and I recorded it and I listened back, and I was like, I felt it in my being. I felt it. And yeah, I guess there's not exactly words for that. But we're not ascending away from the physical body. We're ascending the lens in which we experience the physical body through. The Palladians are our cousins, and they experienced physicality, and they still kind of experience physicality. And it's not that they don't have bodies. It's the thought energy that's more elevated, that's less dense, that's less stuck and clustered, and it's not funneled through these really conditioned, polarizing belief systems. And so when we talk about New Earth, it's not, and I always I don't have the exact answer because I'm not like Bashar level of channeling, and I actually haven't asked this question in a trance channel for my guide, so maybe I should, but I'm not gonna do that right now. I don't really feel like asking them because I'm in the Best Buy parking lot and I want to be human when I go. Like, I want to be like fully embodied as human when I go to pick up my laptop because I spilled coffee on it the other day and it's completely ruined. So I'm getting a new one. But regardless, fifth dimension is like quasi-physical. It's not completely physical. But New Earth feels like fourth dimension, where it's like like that close to like 5D expansiveness in the emotional mental body, but like still in the physical. Interesting. I shall look into that. So that was it. That was my riff, chit chat, whatever the heck this is, on physical body stuff. If you found this interesting or insightful, please, pretty please leave a review. I know you can review on Spotify now. That helps people find me. Leave a review on Apple or on Spotify. Share with a friend. Share on social media. Tag me so I can connect with you and repost it and so on. Thank you so much for being you and connecting with me. Thank you. Bye.